Hello, my dear friend. The sounds that echo endlessly in your mind. Sometimes they are gentle, like a close companion walking beside you. But other times they turn into an adversary, constantly judging you, creating stories, projecting futures that never existed. But what exactly is this voice? Where does it come from? And most importantly, is it really you? Think of it this way. You are watching a play unfold on a grand stage. Emotions rise and fall. Joy, sorrow, anger, regret. The story sweeps you away so deeply that you forget something crucial. You are not the character on that stage. You are the audience, the silent witness. The voice in your head works in the same way. It spins dramatic stories, weaving together thoughts that feel real, but are not always true. It makes you forget an essential truth. You are not those stories. You are the one listening. You are the quiet observer behind all the noise. But the mind doesn't want you to realize this. It keeps you busy, filling every moment with commentary, judgments, and endless chatter, until you begin to believe you are that voice. Yet, that is just an illusion. When you no longer identify yourself with that voice, something extraordinary happens. You discover a vast inner space, a place where freedom and true peace begin. This is not just a concept. It's a journey back to your real essence. Imagine standing on a rooftop, looking down at the city below. Cars streaming endlessly, lights flickering, sounds colliding into a living, moving painting. But pause for a moment. Don't let yourself get absorbed into that painting. You are not the city, you are the one watching from above. Your thoughts are just like those cars constantly passing by. Each thought carries a story, an emotion, a memory. But you are not the cars. You are the one observing them from a distance. Thoughts hold great power, not because they are the truth, but because they so easily convince you that they are the truth. They can project futures that never arrive, replay past events that are already gone, and create entire worlds of worry and fear. But the reality is this: thoughts are nothing more than a flowing stream. They are not your essence. Your true self is the one who watches, silently and freely, behind it all. Think back to a time when you felt stressed before making an important decision. Your mind probably began spinning endless scenarios. What if I fail? What will people think of me? But once that moment passed, you realized most of the things you worried about never actually happened. Your thoughts had kept you trapped, draining your energy for no real reason. Yet, within you, there is always a silent part, a presence that never gets caught in the whirlwind of thought. That part is your true essence. The observer, the witness. When you begin to see this, everything changes. You start to treat thoughts as a useful tool, rather than something that controls your emotions or your actions. The mind, after all, is a survival tool. Long ago, it helped our ancestors escape predators, prepare for storms, and avoid danger. But in the modern world, where those threats have mostly disappeared, the mind still functions the same way. It sees danger everywhere. It keeps you on constant alert, analyzing, predicting, planning, until you are exhausted, even when there's nothing to fear. Think about an ordinary day. You wake up, and almost instantly, your mind switches on. It paints scenarios, work you might miss, opportunities you might lose, problems that might arise. It pulls you away from the present, throwing you back into the past, then pushing you forward into the future until you're stuck in an endless loop. But if you look closely, you'll notice most of the things your mind worries about never actually occur. The mind cannot distinguish between real danger and imagined fear. It reacts to both as if they are emergencies. And this confusion, this inability to separate reality from imagination, is what drains your energy, keeping you stuck in stress and tension. But here is the truth: you don't have to be ruled by it. What matters most is realizing this is only the stream of the mind. It doesn't define who you are. Yes, the mind can weave countless stories, but you don't have to believe them. When you see that the mind stream is only a very small part of the whole picture, you begin to recognize that the mind is simply a tool. You are the one who uses it, not the other way around. So instead of letting your mind control you, learn to observe it. When a thought appears, don't immediately believe it to be the truth. Pause. Ask yourself, is this really important enough for me to hold on to? And more often than not, when you stop to question it, the thought begins to lose its power over you. This is where freedom begins. Freedom arrives when you are no longer swept away by the stories your mind creates. Each moment becomes clearer. Each breath becomes peace. And you begin to experience life more fully, free from unnecessary worries. Free to simply be yourself. Emotions like anger, fear, or anxiety are not meant to stay forever. They naturally pass, but it is our attachment to them that makes them last longer than necessary. The mind tends to hold on, building stories around feelings, connecting them with past memories, and turning even small matters into heavy burdens. The key is not to fight against negative thoughts or uncomfortable emotions. The key is to shift how you relate to them. Busy thoughts are just like clouds drifting across the sky. They appear, they pass. But the sky itself, the inner stillness within you, remains untouched. And when you realize this truth, you discover that peace was never something you had to chase. It was always there, quietly waiting, inside you. The moment you realize that you are not the stories your mind creates, something shifts. You begin to feel the lightness of putting those stories down. This is not about giving up. It is about returning to the present moment, the place where true peace begins. You don't have to carry that heavy backpack of thoughts and emotions forever. Imagine a life where you are no longer controlled by constant thinking, no longer pulled down by restless emotions. You would discover that behind all the noise and turbulence, there is always a vast open space where silence and freedom are patiently waiting to welcome you. It's time to remember, peace is not something you have to search for in the outside world. It has always been a part of you. This journey is not about changing who you are, it's about remembering that you have always had the power to set that heavy backpack down and walk lightly through life. In our everyday world, we often believe that listening simply means hearing sounds or words. But listening with presence is something far deeper. It is not just a physical act. It is a state of complete awareness, without judgment, without reaction, without being carried away by the mind's stories. Listening with presence means allowing everything to be exactly as it is without trying to change it, without clinging to it. It is giving your full attention to this moment, fully receiving, but not being swept away. And when you listen in this way, something profound happens. You begin to sense layers of meaning that go far beyond words, beyond surface-level thoughts. For example, imagine a moment when a loved one is sharing their feelings with you. If you listen with a busy mind, half hearing them, while also preparing your response, or silently judging you, will only catch a fraction of what they are truly saying. But if you listen with full presence, giving all your attention to that moment, without judgment, without preparing your reply, you will begin to sense what they have not said aloud. You will feel their real emotions, the truths hidden beneath the words. That is the kind of listening that deepens every connection. And the same applies to yourself. When you listen to yourself with presence, you don't just hear surface thoughts or fleeting emotions. You begin to notice subtler layers, hidden feelings, unconscious beliefs, and the peace that has always been there, quietly waiting beneath the noise of the mind. So when a thought arises, simply notice it. Don't react. Don't agree. Don't deny. Don't try to change it. Instead, you can ask yourself, does this thought truly reflect who I am? Or, what is beneath this feeling? And then, stay in silence for a few moments. Just rest in your own presence, beyond the stories of the mind. When you practice listening with presence, whether to others or to yourself, you step into a deeper dimension of life. Each story of the mind passes like clouds in the sky, but the sky itself, the stillness within you, remains untouched. That stillness is who you truly are. When you stop identifying yourself with the stories the mind creates, something begins to shift. You start connecting with the deeper part of yourself, and you learn how to live more fully in every moment. You realize that beneath all the noise, there is always a truth. The truth of who you really are. The truth of peace and freedom that you've been searching for all along. This is the treasure of wisdom that the great teachers and Zen masters often spoke of. A place where you become one with the light of awareness, where every moment feels meaningful and alive. Negative emotions, when they arise within us, are not here to defeat or imprison us. They are like guests knocking at your door, each carrying their own message. The problem begins when we don't allow those guests to leave. Instead, we invite them to stay, repeating the same story behind the emotion until the guest becomes a heavy burden. Imagine holding a glass of water. For a few seconds, it feels light. Hold it for a few minutes, and your hand grows tired. Now imagine holding it for an entire day. Even if the glass is small, your arm will ache with exhaustion. Negative emotions work in the same way. They only hurt you when you hold onto them for too long, instead of setting them down when they are no longer needed. Letting go does not mean ignoring your emotions, nor does it mean suppressing them. Letting go means allowing them to exist, fully acknowledging them and then gently letting them pass. Do not fight against your emotions. Resistance only makes them stronger. Instead, accept them as a natural part of you and simply observe them as they dissolve. A negative emotion, when not tied to the stories your mind creates, eventually loses its power. For example, if you feel sadness after a failure, the raw emotion at first is just disappointment. But if your mind begins weaving stories like, "I never do anything right," or "everyone will look down on me," that simple sadness transforms into despair. It is not the emotion itself, but the story around it that gives it weight and prolongs its presence. Letting go does not mean denying what has happened. It simply means refusing to let it control your present. You can ask yourself, what actually happens if I don't hold on to this emotion? Will it change the past? Will it help me feel better? And the answer is almost always no. Releasing negative emotions is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is an act of inner strength. It opens up space within you to welcome peace, love, and joy. When you set down that burden, you not only free yourself, but you also open the door to experience life more fully. This is one of the forms of courage that the Buddha himself spoke about on the path toward enlightenment. Most of us are caught in the illusion that everything in life can be controlled. We make careful plans, try to predict every outcome, and prepare for every possible situation. But life does not move in straight, predictable lines. It is full of uncertainty and surprise. So why do we keep trying to control? Because control gives us the illusion of safety, at least for a little while. But the truth is, that sense of safety never lasts. Control itself is an illusion. And more than that, it is a burden. Every time you try to control something beyond your reach, you tie yourself to expectations, anxieties, and disappointments. That is why letting go of control is not an act of defeat. It is an expression of freedom. Because when you stop clinging to the need to control, you realize something powerful. Not controlling does not mean losing power. It means freeing yourself from unnecessary pressure. Look around you. Everything in life is always changing. The weather, relationships, health, all of it moves in cycles of uncertainty. You can predict some of it, but you can never control it completely. And when you see this clearly, you step into a new space of freedom. A life that flows with change instead of fighting against it. And here lies a truth you must face. Uncertainty is an essential part of life. When you accept this, you begin to see that instead of resisting the flow, you can learn to move with it. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your focus from trying to control outcomes to embracing what is unfolding and responding with flexibility. This takes courage because the mind always wants to hold on to control. But only when you pause and realize that control is not a prerequisite for happiness do you truly begin to live. Think of a kite soaring high in the sky. If you pull the string too tightly, it loses balance and may crash. But if you allow the string just enough slack so the kite can catch the wind naturally, it rises higher and steadier. Life is the same. When you learn to release the constant tension of control and expectations, you discover balance and growth unfolding in the most natural way. So how can you let go of control? The first step is to recognize what you can control. Instead of exhausting yourself by trying to change external factors, focus on how you respond to them. You cannot control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for it. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control your own emotions and choices. The second step is to welcome uncertainty. Each time you feel anxious about a situation outside your control, remind yourself, uncertainty is part of life. See it not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. When you let go of the need to control, you not only feel lighter, but you also create space for good things to enter. Flexibility allows you to adapt to change without being crushed by it. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You become the observer, the companion of life itself. Life is not a battlefield where you fight to hold on to control. It is a journey of learning how to live in harmony with the flow. Letting go does not strip away your power. It opens a different kind of power, the power of inner freedom. And this is the only path that leads to true peace. Living openly is more than just accepting life. It is the ability to face whatever comes without building walls, without hiding behind defenses. It is the courage to look directly at yourself, to face both your fears and your joys, instead of covering them up or running away. When you close your heart, you might feel safe from pain, but you also shut yourself off from joy and from true connection. Many people believe openness is weakness. But in reality, openness is the strongest expression of maturity. When you are willing to let both the good and the difficult come and go, you are no longer the one trying to control everything. You become one with the flow of life. This does not mean blindly agreeing with everything. It means seeing things as they are, acknowledging, accepting, and responding with awareness. When you live with openness, you allow yourself to experience life in its truest form. From the small joys of ordinary moments to the pains you once tried to forget. All of it becomes part of the complete picture. Every time you face difficulty without running away, you expand the inner space within yourself. A space to receive more, to understand more deeply. And openness does not stop at your own emotions. It is also the ability to be fully present with others, to listen without judgment, to see others with understanding rather than defense. This is the art of connection. A connection that does not come from changing the outside world, but from opening your own heart, to see the world with a new depth of awareness. Life never promises perfection, but openness, true openness, allows you to embrace both its beauty and its storms. When you dare to face pain instead of running away from it, you don't just overcome it, you awaken a hidden strength within. And it is in that strength where the true meaning of life is found. In growth, in resilience, and in peace, despite the waves. Everything you think you know about yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, the stories your mind tells you is just an illusion. Each step on this journey is not only about understanding, but about awakening. Awakening from the illusion that you are defined by the noise of your thoughts or by the fleeting moods of the mind. Awakening to see that you are far greater than all of that. Have you noticed, through the reflections we've shared earlier, that stillness has always been there? Beneath the endless chatter of the mind, there is a deep quiet. A vast space within you, a home you may have forgotten, but one that has never left you. And when you realize that you don't need to chase the never-ending stream of thoughts, you begin to see that everything you've ever searched for has always been inside you. This is not a journey of seeking, it is a journey of remembering. Imagine a flame that never goes out. Even when it's hidden by the storm of worries, or buried under the dust of painful memories, the flame still burns bright. With every moment of awareness, with every act of letting go, you fan that flame back to life. Life does not need you to change. It does not need you to prove anything. Life simply invites you to live. Live in presence. Live in openness. Live as your true self. No more struggle. No more clinging. No more running away. The truth is not about how far you've traveled. The truth is found in recognizing yourself here, now. The truth is, you don't need a destination. You are already the answer. Hold on to this awareness, not as an idea, but as a way of living. Every day, every moment, you can return to that stillness within a place where nothing can harm you. There, you will discover not only peace, but also the freedom that has always been yours. You are not just light. You are not just silence. You are not just joy. You are the very source of them all. And remember, this journey is not the end, it is the beginning of living as your truest, most free self. So live with freedom, because freedom has always been who you are. If you found this message meaningful, I invite you to support True Iat Tum by giving this podcast a like, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you won't miss the next episode. Thank you for being here, and may you and your loved ones always be blessed with health, peace, and deep joy.